From the National Newsroom of the Canadian Press, I'm Emily Joveski. A case of a new deadlier strain of m-pox has been reported in Sweden. Swedish authorities say the infected person recently traveled to Africa, where the disease is spreading rampantly. Yesterday, the World Health Organization labeled the African outbreak a global health emergency as the continent grapples with 14,000 cases and more than 500 deaths. Canadian health officials are monitoring the situation, but say the risk to Canadians is low for now. Canada is calling for an investigation into Israel's destruction of a large water facility in Gaza.
The Office of International Development Minister Ahmed Hussein says the facility's destruction adds to what he calls a catastrophic humanitarian situation. Israeli soldiers were recorded on video last month planting explosives and destroying the water processing facility in the city of Rafah. The Israeli military says it's looking into what happened. The facility is in a neighborhood the Palestinian delegation in Ottawa says is popularly known as Canada because of the country's decades of support for various projects in the area. Jason White, The Canadian Press.
As Hurricane Ernesto travels through the Caribbean towards Bermuda, the Canadian Hurricane Centre says the storm is expected to arrive in Atlantic Canada on Monday. Canadian Press reporter Michael Tutton says meteorologists are calling for a shift to the east, but don't expect a direct hit on Nova Scotia.
And they are also saying this will bring very active waves along the coast. So this time of year, with a lot of beachgoers, tourists, they are making a warning out there to folks to be careful of riptides and strong waves. And that's actually their key message right now.
The federal agency says those high seas will begin arriving along the Atlantic coast on Saturday and grow through the weekend. Manitoba's following other provinces in restricting cell phone use in classrooms beginning this school year. Schools will ban cell phones for students in kindergarten to grade 8, while those in high school will be restricted from using their devices during class time. And a prosecutor says 5 people have been charged in connection with the overdose death of Matthew Perry. The individuals include the actor's assistant and 2 doctors. ABC's Brian Buckmere reports all have been charged with conspiracy to distribute ketamine.
You're going to see a defense attorney point to the fact that this is an accident, not a homicide. However, in a drug case, the autopsy report doesn't have all of the information they need to make an ultimate determination or a conclusion. But I do think that the contributing factors will be pointed to, especially for someone who has a lower role in that distribution of drugs.
Perry grew up in Canada, living between Ottawa, Montreal, and Toronto with his Canadian mother, who worked as a press secretary for then Prime Minister Pierre Trudeau. This is the Canadian Press. In sports, Alberta businessman Larry Thompson was introduced as the Edmonton Elks' first private owner at a press conference today in Edmonton. The new owner of the Elks wouldn't say whether the CFL team is in line for a rebranding, but he said the classic double E logo will be more prevalent in the future. Leila Fernandez of Laval, Quebec overcame 20 aces and saved 2 match points before beating 4th seed Elena Rybakina of Kazakhstan 3-6, 7-6, 6-4 in second-round action at the Cincinnati Open. The Toronto Raptors opened their 2024-2025 campaign at home against Cleveland as they look to bounce back from a disappointing season. The NBA released its regular season schedule today, with Toronto getting things going October 23rd against the Cavaliers. And Canada has risen 2 spots to 5th in the FIBA men's basketball rankings, despite failing to medal at the Paris Olympics. From the Canadian Press, I'm Emily Joveski.
Thanks for listening. Don't forget to follow and subscribe. For more of today's top stories, visit thecanadianpressnews.ca.